Hey, ladies and gentlemen, this video here is the final one for Chapter 10, Section 3. And this one is going to be about how there were other crises that will strike the Republic even after the Punic Wars. So if you can remember in the last video, we talked about how Rome fought Carthage in the Punic Wars. You had your three different series of wars. Eventually, Rome will destroy Carthage. There is no Carthage anymore, and that leaves Rome with all this new territory. Now, there were other problems that are going to strike Rome, especially right here at home. Some of these things have to deal with the poverty that was going on in Rome. During the time of the wars and the gaining of territory, we talked a little bit about how wealthy Romans, they're going to take the land that's right here in the purple area. A lot of small farmers will flock to Rome. Well, these farmers are poor. They're going to stay poor. They have families. These families stay poor. While the wealthy, the patricians, are going to get richer and richer throughout this time period. Eventually, what happens is you have two tribunes, two of the plebeian leaders that are going to try to make some changes in Rome that are going to help out the plebeians. And they're brothers, Tiberius and Gaius Gracchus. Okay? So please understand who these two are. Very important in Roman history. They'll both serve as tribunes. Now, Tiberius is going to be the first one. He takes office as a tribune in 133 BC. So as you can see, we're getting down there closer to Jesus' birth. What Tiberius wanted to do is he wanted to take some of this land that the wealthy patricians had, and he wanted to split that land up and give some of that land to the poor people, the plebeians, so that they could have an opportunity to earn money themselves, things like that. Well, this angers, of course, many of the rich, the powerful, the wealthy citizens of Rome, because they didn't believe that Tiberius and the tribunes and the assembly and the plebeians had the power to take this from them without paying and things like that. So they opposed it. Some riots ensued, and during these riots, Tiberius is killed. Then, a few years later, his brother Gaius is going to also become a tribune. He's going to try to create new farms just like his brother Tiberius. He also wants to start selling food cheaper to the poor citizens. So what this does is it again angers the wealthy because they're expecting to get money from that food that they're growing. That's how they stay wealthy, is from, I guess, overcharging the plebeians, with the masses of Rome, for the food. Gaius wants to come in and let's cheapen that a little bit. Well, the wealthy get angry with this, and he's going to be killed. I believe there's some stories that talk about his head being chopped off and being dragged through the streets of Rome and things like that, more as a symbol of, hey, don't mess with our power, don't mess with our wealth. And that is kind of the big idea that you need to get out of the Tiberius and Gracchus story, the Gaius Gracchus story, is that now in Rome, it is very evident that violence is what can be used as a political weapon right here. It means that if I don't like how things are going on here, if I don't agree with something, instead of debating it and discussing it in the assembly or in the Senate, we're now going to kill or maim. We're going to use violence to get our way. And really, that kind of becomes the norm in Rome for hundreds of years. So that is very definite right here. You need to pay attention to this. So after Tiberius and Gaius Gracchus, some other changes are going to happen in Rome that affect Rome. And really, a lot of these changes are leading to the end of the Roman Republic. Late hundreds BC, so maybe here we have the 107 BC, we're going to have a Roman consul, Gaius Marius. Okay, Gaius Marius, he's also a general. What's happening is, before Gaius Marius, it was only the wealthy or those that owned property that could be in the Roman legions, the Roman army. And it was thought that, okay, if you have property in Rome, you have more of an incentive to fight for Rome, to keep it strong and things like that. Well, what's happening is Gaius Marius is wanting to expand Roman territories and things like that, so he needs soldiers. He also sees there's a lot of poor people inside Rome. He's like, you know what? Hey, let's let these poor people join the army. Now, I think that's a good thing, of course, but what it does is it does a philosophical, or it makes a philosophical change in the loyalty of the Roman soldiers. Okay, before this, it was kind of perceived that the Roman soldiers were loyal to Rome, not to one person. Well, there's going to be a definite change when Marius allows the poor and the unemployed citizens into the Roman army. Remember, this is kind of with the if you were there at the beginning of the section. Now these new Roman soldiers are going to be loyal to Marius. They're not so much just loyal to Rome, they're going to follow and do what Marius wants. And he's a good general, and he knows this. And he's very ambitious, which means he wants power. He wants more power. And he can use his army against his enemies, not only outside of Rome, but even the enemies inside of Rome. And one of these such enemies later on is going to be Lucius Cornelius Sulla. Sulla learns from Marius. He sees that Marius is gaining political power because he has the backing of the troops. So what's he going to do? When he becomes consul, he is going to develop his own army also. He's going to have his own soldiers and things like that that are loyal to him. There's going to now be a clash inside Rome between these two generals and their armies. And this is kind of what is considered a civil war, where you have this fight between citizens of the same country. In the end, this guy here, Lucius Cornelius Sulla, is going to end up victorious. And this kind of plays a role in what we're going to talk about next chapter, because next chapter we're going to start with Julius Caesar. Now, Julius Caesar, I believe, was either a nephew or related to Marius in some way, and it's going to lead to him wanting his own army and revenge, I guess you could say, against Sulla and other things like that. All right, a final instance of some kind of an incident that's happening inside Rome is the story of Spartacus. Okay, so not long after Sulla dies, Spartacus is going to lead a rebellion of gladiators and slaves against Rome. And really, there were quite a few of them that are going to band together, and they're going to basically go all throughout Rome. Down in, here's Rome. They're going to lead a rebellion all the way down into the heel of the boot and things like that. And it goes on for weeks at a time. There's really a lot of people that are fearing this rebellion and things like that. Eventually, Spartacus is killed in a battle. And then once Spartacus is killed, the rebellion kind of fizzles out and goes away. And in retaliation, the Roman leaders will round up about 6,000 other slaves, rebellious slaves. Maybe they weren't even rebellious, doesn't matter. And they will use them as an example and execute them. And one of the ways they do it is by hanging them. Or not hanging them, I'm sorry. They will crucify them. They will put them on the cross, much like we think with Jesus and things like that. It was a common form of punishment. And then what they do is there's roads throughout Rome. They are going to line those crosses up along the roads of Rome, and they are going to have those slaves crucified on those crosses, hanging there as an example to others about what happens if you rebel against Rome. So they're out there rotting corpses and things like that on those crosses, being used as an example. What these last parts here of this section are kind of showing us is that the republic is ending. This structure of the Senate and the tripartite government and things like that, it's just barely hanging on now. And that's kind of the end of section 3, end of chapter 10. Our next chapter is going to be the end of the Republic and the beginning of the Roman Empire. I would like you to read these biographies, make sure you study these maps and things like that. Of course, make sure you have the rest of your notes filled out for section 3. All right, thank you guys.